Welcome back. I'm Tom Fury, and this is Zero News. So we're back on the petitions again. For those of you that don't remember, me and Bin were talking about multiple petitions that Parliament now sort of basically ignores, and how they'd become useless, and they shouldn't be. They're a lawful piece of legislation, but they don't have the effect they should do because Starmer gets to ignore them. The last big petition we saw had a mega amount of votes, and they, instead of talking about it in Parliament like they're supposed to have to, they just wrote a letter back to the petition saying they were going to do what they wanted to do anyway, which I don't know how that wasn't considered breaking the law. Anyway, this petition may have a slight difference though, simply because of the fact that it depends how much news it makes. Not necessarily, so the petition itself will get ignored, but how much news it makes could make a difference to Starmer's already precarious position. And again, and may embolden other people. But here we go. So this is an article written by somebody called Jack Walters for TV News. And it says a petition demanding Keir Starmer's, I'm not going to call him Sir, Keir Starmer's dissolve Parliament. Sorry, let me start again. A petition demanding Sir Keir Starmer dissolves Parliament and calls an immediate general election has reached a major milestone just days before the Prime Minister faces a crunch debate in Westminster Hall. The petition is now the third demanding a snap poll. The third, I didn't know that. The third demanding a snap poll since Labour came into power in July 2024. It's only been since July 2024. Feels like a lifetime. In July 24, reached 100,000 signatures last night after receiving a 40,000 strong boost in less than 24 hours. Let me say that again. The petition, which is now the third demanding a snap poll since Labour came into power in July 2024, reached 100,000 signatures last night after receiving a 40,000 strong boost in less than 24 hours. The Prime Minister is facing a backlash from voters as opinion polls suggest his approval rating stands at a negative of minus 58%. I don't know how that even works out. Does that mean he's hated? Well, we know that. MPs will have the opportunity to debate holding a snap general election on January 12th, just 12 months after the first petition for calling for one was created. So the first petition that they did got more than 3 million signatures. I forgot all about this, The second, surpassing 1 million just last month. Despite the third exceeding the threshold required to force yet another Westminster Hall debate, the Petitions Committee could opt to block MPs from discussing the topic. Because it's embarrassing, right? Because they've never had this many. The Petitions Committee is not obliged to hold a debate if MPs have already debated the topic recently, or if it is deemed similar to another open petition. However, the third petition, which will run until June 10th, is expected to garner more support over the coming months. In the petition's description, creator Robert J.F. Barnes wrote, on July 4th, 2024, Sir Keir Starmer was elected as Prime Minister. Since then, his government has introduced measures that were not included in the Labour Party's manifesto. I think you know where this is going to go. I'm not going to read the whole thing out to you because I think you know where this is going to go. You can look for this article yourself. I've given you the guy's name and the publication. So what's interesting here is the amount of people that have done it. I didn't realise it was 3 times that they've raised that many people. I mean, that's an embarrassment for any government. So, do you know what? I'm going to go back on what I say normally about petitions. This petition's worth signing. Because if it constantly gets into the millions, that means people inside Labour can use it, people outside of Labour can use it. When the time is right, and the right people get involved in the right political situation that is there, according to a lot of people it's coming, that will be the time to get Starmer out. And they will use things like this as evidence as to why. So this might be the only petition left that means anything. Not because of the debate, because even if they have a debate, we know it won't go anywhere. But because of the fact if it gets into the millions again, that's 4 times. That'd be 4 times and getting into the millions of people wanting them to have an election to get him the fuck out, and because everybody knows he'll lose. That is a lot of pressure and a lot of embarrassment for any government, even him, and which is why they probably will block it, in fairness. But if they don't, this is the sort of thing that's worth slinging a signature on anyway, for the simple fact that it might be one day the straw that broke the camel's back. Even if it makes no immediate difference in Parliament, for the sake of going, I'm going to do it in a minute, for the sake of going putting my signature on there, if it's the straw that breaks the camel's back one day, and hopefully one day soon, then so be it, you know? Like I say, the immediate effects will be nothing, but hopefully a Labour candidate or the House of Commons as a whole can use all this to say, right, you're not fit for government. You know, somebody at some point will do it. Everybody falls. Everybody falls. We just need it to happen sooner than it normally does, and that's why things like this might help. Again, not for the reason that they were created for, but to create headlines, to create political pressure via headlines, via media. You know, might be the only way, and also to embolden other people in the Labour Party to take his head. It might be the only way, but they're still relying on petitions to change things, not really realising that they're not going to. But again, this may be the only one that has more weight to it, simply because the headlines attached to it. And the more of them that keep getting into the millions with the same title, it becomes a worldwide embarrassment. Because like a massive percentage of your population has got off their arse to go and sign this petition to get you out, and multiple times. They're that passionate about how bad you are. That's really embarrassing on a world stage. I'm just looking at an image of it now, and it's got people all over the country. It's got a map of where all the signatures are coming from. They're coming from the whole country. So there's no place safe for them. So it'd be interesting to see if they do what Steve said about, you know, trying to rig the next elections or something like that, because they've got no, you know, even with the right fractured, you know, I think you're more likely to have the Green Party or Reform win the next election than any other two parties, I think. And that may seem far-fetched, but unless people go back into that scared holding pattern of voting for who they know, which they might, I honestly don't see it being either of the main parties. That means something. Historically, that means something. Well, we'll have to see it when it gets to the time. But it's like I said earlier on, the damage that Starmer's doing and the speed that his party's doing it is devastating. It's devastating Britain, and we won't really survive it, because it won't be fixed immediately when another party gets in. If another party gets in. So things like this, actually, I think are worth doing, because these are more non-violent approaches. They're a way of creating political pressure. They're a way of helping the people that want him out, even if we don't want him out for the same reasons. They're a way of helping other, you know, politicians and other people get him the fuck out of there, which is what we need as soon as possible. And believe it or not, there will be other people in Parliament that realise that. Even if it's for their own selfish needs, they will realise he needs to go. So I'm going to go sign it. What the hell? What have I got to lose? You know? But it's not for the petition's worth. It's for the headlines worth, you know? Anyway, I'll catch you soon. Tom Fury, Zero News.